Once upon a time, in a land not so far away, Hollywood to be exact, an unlikely hero emerged. He was big, green, and had a questionable hygiene routine. Yes, we're talking about Shrek, the beloved ogre who stormed into our hearts and his outhouse in 2001. With his grumpy demeanor and love for solitude, Shrek changed the landscape of animated film, bringing a refreshing twist to the world of fairy tales.
Do you think maybe he's compensating for something?
But what if I told you that this lovable swamp-dwelling monster may have been inspired by real-life history? Buckle up, because this is no ordinary happily ever after. This is the Ogre the Top story of Shrek's origins. From a 1990s children's book to a possible connection to a French wrestling legend. Before Shrek became the Academy Award-winning animated film we all know and love, it was a humble little book titled Shrek by William Steig. Published in 1990, Steig's book followed a grotesque green monster who ventured out into the world, scaring villagers, breathing fire, and eventually falling in love with an equally unattractive princess. If that's not a rom-com for the ages, I don't know what is. Steig's version of Shrek was a quirky anti-hero, breaking all the traditional rules of fairy tales. Steig, a longtime cartoonist for The New Yorker, was already in his 80s when he created Shrek. The book was a satirical, unorthodox take on classic fairy tales, celebrating self-acceptance and embracing one's inner and outer ogre. It was a refreshing and fun story that didn't focus on the classic good looks equals happy ending formula. The monster may have been ugly, but he was clever, kind-hearted, and loved deeply, perfect traits for any character in a modern fairy tale. The book's success made a Hollywood adaptation inevitable. In 1991, Steven Spielberg bought the film rights to the book with plans for a traditional 2D animated adaptation starring Bill Murray as Shrek and Stephen Martin as Donkey. Imagine that alternate universe for a second. However, DreamWorks soon acquired the project and decided to transform Shrek into a CGI animated film. They ditched the hand-drawn animation in favor of cutting-edge CGI, and with that, the world was introduced to Mike Myers' Scottish-accented Shrek.
This is the part where you run away.
Alongside Eddie Murphy's fast-talking Donkey.
Hey, I can fly!
The movie's humor and heartfelt moments were a hit.
Oh, really? You in what army?
Especially with its willingness to poke fun at fairy tale conventions.
You definitely need some Tic Tacs or something, because your breath stinks!
The character of Shrek, voiced by Myers, was a unique blend of rough and tumble, lovable loner, while Donkey, voiced by Murphy, brought that comedic charm and heart to the film.
We can stay up late, swapping manly stories, and in the morning, I'm making waffles.
This adaptation of Shrek was a massive success, grossing over $484 million worldwide. It went on to become one of the most iconic animated films of all time, spawning a franchise with 4 films, 2 spin-offs, and endless memes. And there's another coming. But here's where the story takes an unexpected twist. While Steig's book laid the foundation for Shrek, some believe that DreamWorks found visual inspiration for the character somewhere else, somewhere that led them straight to the wrestling ring. In the world of wrestling, there's one name that stands out not just for his athleticism, but for his uniquely unforgettable look: Maurice Thie. Born in France in 1903, Maurice was an intelligent and ambitious young boy. His friends would call him the French Angel because of his blonde hair, angelic face, and larger-than-life personality. However, in his late teens, things took a dramatic turn. At the age of 17, Morris was diagnosed with acromegaly, a rare hormonal disorder caused by the overproduction of growth hormone, which leads to the abnormal growth of bones and tissues, especially in the hands, feet, and face. This condition would change his life in ways he couldn't have anticipated. As his acromegaly progressed, Morris's facial features became increasingly pronounced. His jawline became square, his nose widened, and his eyes grew larger. While some would have seen this as a curse, Morris embraced it as part of who he was. Despite his condition, Morris didn't let his layers define him. He had dreams of becoming a lawyer, but due to both discrimination and his rapidly changing appearance, he was rejected from law school. It seemed like his path to success would be blocked by his condition, but
fate had other plans.
Morris eventually joined the French Navy before venturing into the world of professional wrestling in 1937. In the ring, he adopted the persona of the French Angel, and with his massive strength, unusual appearance, and charismatic presence, he quickly became a star. Despite his daunting appearance, Morris was loved by fans for his gentle nature and his athletic prowess. His wrestling career spanned over a decade, and he became one of the most famous wrestlers of his era. Yet despite his success in the ring, he faced ongoing challenges with his health, and by the early 1950s, his acromegaly condition had worsened, leading to his early retirement. In the final years, Morris spent much of his time documenting his condition, even working with sculptor Louis Link to create plaster busts of his face. These busts were not only a way to commemorate his wrestling career, but also to document how acromegaly affected his body. They have since been preserved in museums, serving as both a testament to his resilience and a tribute to his time as a wrestling legend. Morris's life came to an end in 1954 at the age of 50, following a heart attack related to his condition. Now here's where things get interesting. Morris T.A., also known as the French Angel, had a face that was, well, quite literally unforgettable. If you look at photos of Morris T.A. and then compare them to the character design of Shrek, you might say,
"That'll do, donkey. That'll do."
The resemblance between T.A. and Shrek is uncanny. Both have broad, round faces, large ears, and imposing jaws. The physical likeness between T.A. and Shrek has led many fans to speculate that the real-life wrestler may have been an influence on Shrek's character design. Now let's get one thing straight. DreamWorks has never confirmed that Morris T.A. was the direct inspiration for Shrek's design. After all, it's hard to imagine animators saying, "Hey, let's base an animated character on a 1930s French wrestler with acromegaly." But if you take a moment to look at both figures, it's hard to dismiss the similarities. Some have even argued that DreamWorks might have stumbled upon Morris's image and thought,
This is it.
Even though DreamWorks hasn't officially acknowledged T.A.'s influence, the idea is certainly appealing. Morris T.A. was, after all, a man who defied the odds and worked through his condition just like Shrek. Both characters share an underlying message. Just because you don't look like everyone else doesn't mean you can't be a hero. They both embraced their unique appearance and went on to do great things, whether it was in wrestling or saving fairy tale kingdoms. Whether inspired by Morris T.A. or purely a creation of William Steig and DreamWorks, Shrek remains one of the most beloved animated characters of all time. His journey from a cranky loner to a hero who learns to love and be loved resonated with audiences worldwide. The Shrek franchise grossed over $3.5 billion at the box office, making it one of the most successful animated series in history. But more importantly, Shrek changed the way we look at fairy tales. It reminded us that heroes don't always come in shiny armor. Sometimes they come with swamp water, a Scottish accent, and a best friend who won't stop talking about waffles.
I'm making waffles.
It taught us that true love isn't about perfection, but about finding someone who loves you for your layers. And in a world where everyone was used to Disney-fied fairy tales, Shrek was the perfect antidote. A story that embraced imperfections and celebrated individuality. And perhaps knowingly or unknowingly, Shrek also helped us remember Morris T.A., a man who, like the famous ogre, refused to be defined by the world's expectations. So the next time you re-watch Shrek or watch Shrek 5 and hear him say,
Ogres are like onions. Onions have layers. Ogres have layers.
remember that some of those layers just might be rooted in reality. Because as it turns out, sometimes fairy tales aren't just made in Hollywood. Sometimes they're inspired by real life.